High above the road, beyond the last stone wall of the village, a tower rises from the forest. Its windows are narrow, its door has vanished beneath ivy. No bridge reaches it, no path appears through the trees. Yet someone lives inside. A young woman sits beside the highest window, watching clouds drift over distant fields. She has food, she has shelter, she has songs. Each day arrives with the same quiet rhythm. Sunlight crosses the floor. Shadows climb the walls. Evening gathers beneath the roof. Her room feels safe. It also feels very small. Most of us know this tower. We built versions of it in spare bedrooms. We placed them at kitchen tables. We furnished them with laptops, delivery apps, video calls, streaming libraries, online friendships, and work that arrives through a glowing screen. The modern tower offers extraordinary comfort. It lets a worker earn a living without crossing a city. It allows a student to learn from a teacher several states away. It gives an aging parent access to family members whose faces would otherwise live only in photographs. These gifts carry real value. Yet every gift creates a shape around the life that receives it. A tool changes the hand. A room changes the habits of the person who stays there. A road teaches the feet where to go. Remote life has shaped millions of people into citizens of towers. They wake in one room. They work in another corner of the same room. Meals arrive at the door. Entertainment waits beside the desk. Friendship flickers through a camera lens. The wider world becomes something viewed through glass. The danger begins when comfort slowly replaces contact. A person may feel connected while growing detached from place. He may speak to 20 people during the day while touching no shared life with any of them. He may attend meetings, exchange messages, complete assignments, and finish the evening with the strange sense that the day never fully happened. The calendar says he lived it. The body remains unconvinced. This is where Rapunzel enters our story. She knows the tower. She knows the window. She knows the peculiar sadness of being able to see the world while remaining unable to reach it. Her tale offers a map for life behind screens. It shows how safety can harden into enclosure. It reveals why human connection requires more than communication. It teaches us how to descend from the tower without throwing away every comfort found inside. Long ago, near the edge of a deep wood, a husband and wife lived in a small house beside a walled garden. They had waited many years for a child. When the wife finally became pregnant, joy filled the cottage. Yet her happiness soon turned toward a powerful craving. Through the window, she could see a bed of Rapunzel growing in the neighboring garden. The leaves looked green and tender. The garden belonged to an enchantress whose reputation traveled far beyond the village. Every gate remained locked. Every wall stood high. Everyone understood that entering her ground carried a price. The wife stared at the leaves until desire consumed her. She could think of little else. Her husband watched her grow pale. Fear took hold of him. One evening, he climbed the wall. He slipped into the garden. He gathered a handful of Rapunzel. Then he hurried home beneath the moon. His wife ate it eagerly. By the following day, her craving had grown stronger. The husband returned to the garden. This time, the enchantress caught him. She stood among the dark leaves with eyes as cold as winter water. She accused him of theft. He begged for mercy. He spoke of his wife. He spoke of the child. The enchantress agreed to spare him under one condition. She would take the baby. Fear narrowed the man's vision. He accepted the bargain. When the child was born, the enchantress appeared. She named the girl Rapunzel. Then she carried her away. At first, Rapunzel lived under the enchantress's care. The old woman fed her. She clothed her. She guarded her from danger. When Rapunzel reached her 12th year, the enchantress placed her inside a tower hidden deep within the forest. The tower had no staircase. It had no door. A single room waited at the top. Rapunzel's hair grew long and golden. Whenever the enchantress wished to enter, she stood below the window and called for Rapunzel to lower her hair. The braid fell like a rope. The enchantress climbed. This detail gives the tale its haunting power. The very thing that belongs to Rapunzel becomes the instrument of her confinement. Her hair forms the bridge. Her body provides the ladder. The tower remains sealed through her own obedience. The prison requires her participation. Remote life often works the same way. No guard stands outside the apartment. No iron lock keeps the worker at his desk. The enclosure operates through habits. The laptop opens. The chair waits. The meetings begin. Groceries arrive. Evening entertainment loads automatically. The person lowers the braid each morning. He calls it convenience. Days pass in the tower. Rapunzel sings. Her voice travels over the trees. The song carries something that the walls cannot contain. It reaches a prince riding through the forest. He hears the music and stops. The voice awakens wonder in him. He searches for its source. He finds the tower, yet he sees no entrance. The prince returns on another day. He watches from the trees as the enchantress calls to Rapunzel. He sees the golden braid fall from the window. He sees the old woman climb. That evening, he repeats the call. Rapunzel lowers her hair. The prince climbs. At first, she is terrified. She has never seen a man. Her world has been shaped by one room and one keeper. Yet the prince speaks gently. He tells her that her song reached his heart. Rapunzel listens. A relationship begins. The prince returns. They speak. They plan. He brings silk so Rapunzel can weave a ladder. Her freedom starts through conversation, yet conversation alone leaves her in the tower. Words awaken desire. Action must follow. This matters. Modern remote life gives us endless ways to speak. A person can talk with coworkers across the country. He can join a community based on a shared interest. He can send messages at midnight to a friend living far away. These exchanges can carry warmth. They can also become substitutes for the physical acts that turn affection into a common life. A friendship made entirely of messages can feel deep while remaining strangely weightless. Two people may know each other's fears. They may share jokes, yet neither has helped the other move a table through a narrow doorway. Digital friendship rarely asks anyone to hold the other end of a sofa. The body discovers the truth of a relationship through shared burdens. Someone arrives, someone stays, someone carries part of the weight. Rapunzel and the prince understand that speech must lead somewhere. They plan a ladder. The enchantress soon discovers them. In some versions of the tale, Rapunzel innocently remarks that the enchantress feels heavier than the prince. The words reveal everything. The old woman's fury erupts. She cuts Rapunzel's hair. She abandons her in a wilderness. Then the enchantress waits in the tower. When the prince returns, she lowers the severed braid. He climbs. Instead of Rapunzel, he finds the woman who ruled her life. She tells him Rapunzel is gone. Grief overwhelms him. He falls from the tower into a bed of thorns. The thorns pierce his eyes. Blind and wounded, he wanders through the wild country. The tower has taken both of them. Rapunzel lost years within its walls. The prince loses his sight through his attempt to reach her. Yet, the story continues. Rapunzel survives in the wilderness. She gives birth to twins. She learns to live beyond the chamber that once contained her whole existence. The prince wanders for a long time. Eventually, he hears a familiar voice. Rapunzel is singing. He follows the sound. They find each other. Rapunzel weeps. Her tears fall into his eyes. His sight returns. The old tale gives healing to tears. Grief becomes medicine. Love restores the ability to see. The prince regains his vision after entering Rapunzel's real world. He finds her beyond the tower. That movement speaks directly to our age. Remote life began as an answer to distance. It allowed work to continue during crisis. It let families maintain contact across borders. It freed many people from punishing commutes. A parent could share breakfast with a child instead of staring at brake lights before dawn. These games remain worthy. Yet a solution to distance can also train us to accept distance as the normal shape of life. The screen carries the face. It carries the voice. It carries the words. It leaves behind the room. When you speak with someone through a screen, you receive a framed version of that person. You see what fits inside the camera. You hear what the microphone captures. The body becomes a talking portrait. A face on a screen can express joy, yet the screen hides small forms of presence. You cannot feel the change in the room when someone grows tense. You may miss the silence that asks for comfort. You cannot sense how tired a friend looks while he pours coffee at the kitchen counter. Technology compresses the person into signals. The compression works well enough to fool us. Remote work makes this especially clear. An office contains frustrations. It carries interruptions, dull lighting, awkward conversations, and the occasional meeting that could have lived a shorter life as an email. It also gives people a shared place. You notice when a colleague seems troubled. You hear the laughter coming from another room. You learn who keeps calm under pressure. You discover the quiet customs that hold a group together. These facts arrive through presence. A remote worker receives scheduled contact. He joins when the calendar tells him. He leaves when the meeting ends. The unplanned edges disappear. Those edges once carried much of human life. A brief conversation after a meeting may reveal the real problem. A walk toward the parking lot may turn an acquaintance into a friend. A shared meal may teach more about character than months of formal calls. Remote life trims away these loose moments because they look unproductive. Yet loose moments often hold the soul of a place. The tower provides a clean schedule. Life outside the tower spills over its borders. Human beings need some spill. We need encounters that arrive before we prepare a face for them. We need places where our presence carries consequences. We need streets where people recognize us. We need rooms whose history includes our own mistakes. A fully remote life can weaken these bonds because every connection becomes selectable. The worker can mute the call. The shopper can avoid the store. The viewer can leave the conversation. Choice feels pleasant. It also removes the friction through which patience grows. Rapunzel's tower protects her from conflict. It also denies her the chance to learn how people live together. The enchantress controls every relationship Rapunzel has. She decides who enters. She decides when they meet. She determines the terms. Modern platforms often occupy a similar position. A person may think he speaks directly with friends, yet an unseen system decides which messages appear first. It decides which notifications interrupt dinner. It decides which conversations disappear beneath newer content. The platform becomes the enchantress at the base of the tower. It calls. The braid falls. We respond. The person believes he controls the device because his fingers touch the screen. Yet the rhythm of his day may come from alerts designed elsewhere. Control over the button can hide surrender to the pattern. Remote life deepens this surrender when every function passes through the same machine. The laptop becomes the workplace. It becomes the classroom. It becomes the theater. One object rules the day. A farmer once moved through different settings. The field demanded one posture. The table invited another. The church asked for another kind of attention. Modern remote life collapses these spaces. The same chair holds labor and leisure. The same screen carries the boss and the friend. The same room contains Monday morning and Saturday night. The walls lose meaning. The mind begins to blur its own boundaries. This is why many remote workers struggle to stop working. The commute once marked a passage. It gave the mind time to leave one role and enter another. A person may have hated the traffic. The journey still performed a ritual. It said, the workday has ended. Without that passage, work lingers in the room like smoke from an unseen fire. You close the laptop. The desk remains. You eat beside it. You glance at it. A small light appears. The tower keeps calling after dark. Rapunzel teaches us that freedom begins with seeing the structure around us. She grows up believing the tower is the world. She has no comparison. Its walls feel natural because they have always been there. Many remote habits gain the same power. A person may wake and reach for a phone before standing. He may move from bed to desk without stepping outdoors. He may receive every meal through an app. After enough time, this pattern feels ordinary. The body tells another story. Sleep grows thin, attention scatters. The days lose texture. A week passes with fewer memories because each day happened in the same place. Memory loves distinction. A walk through rain leaves a mark. A conversation held on a front step gains a setting. A meal in a crowded room carries the sound of dishes. Screens give us content while flattening context. This helps explain the strange emptiness that can follow a day packed with online activity. Many events occurred, few entered the deeper chambers of memory. The day became information. Life asks for experience. The answer lies in descent. Rapunzel needs a ladder. We need one as well. A descent from remote life begins through small acts that restore contact with place. A worker can begin the day by stepping outside before opening a screen. The point rests in crossing a threshold. The body receives morning air. The eyes meet distance. The world arrives before the feed. That simple act teaches the nervous system that reality begins beyond the device. A person who works from home can create a defined place for work. Even a small table can serve. The work begins there, it ends there. The boundary gives shape to time. A tower becomes dangerous when every corner belongs to the same purpose. A home needs rooms with different meanings. The bedroom should speak the language of rest. The table should speak the language of meals. When work spreads across every surface, the employer gains an invisible lease on the whole house. The rent rarely arrives. A second movement involves choosing forms of contact that require physical presence. Join something local. The activity matters less than the regularity. A person needs a place where absence is felt. He needs a room where others expect his face rather than his username. A weekly gathering builds reality through repetition. The same people return, conversations deepen, small obligations emerge. Someone notices when you seem tired. Someone asks where you were last week. This can feel uncomfortable after years in the tower. That discomfort carries value. It proves that your presence has weight. Online spaces allow us to appear as edited versions of ourselves. We choose the photograph. We revise the sentence. We delay the reply. Physical community receives us in real time. We stumble over words. We arrive with wrinkled clothes. We carry moods we failed to polish. This exposure forms humility. It also forms trust. People learn that they can know us beyond the frame. The next step involves restoring errands to human scale. Remote life encourages us to treat every task as a nuisance to remove. Food appears at the door. Household goods arrive in boxes. Services run quietly through apps. Convenience saves time. The question asks what fills the saved time. If the answer is more screen use, convenience has merely shortened the road to the tower. An ordinary errand can become a thread tying a person to his town. You recognize the cashier. You notice a new sign in the window. You hear what people are talking about. These moments seem small because they resist measurement. They are also how a place becomes home. A neighborhood exists through repeated contact. Without contact, it becomes scenery between deliveries. Rapunzel sees the forest from above. She can describe its colors. She has never walked beneath its branches. Modern remote life gives us a similar aerial view. We know what happens everywhere. We may know little about the person living 2 doors away. The descent reverses that pattern. It turns attention toward the near. Nearness carries moral force. A distant problem can stir emotion. A nearby person requires action. The screen often invites us to care about events far beyond our reach. This can expand awareness. It can also scatter concern across 1,000 causes, while the lonely neighbor remains unseen. Rapunzel's healing occurs when she and the prince meet in the same wilderness. They share the same ground. Their voices no longer travel through a tower wall. Their grief becomes physical. Her tears touch his face. Human life reaches its fullest form through this kind of presence. The body becomes part of the promise. When you tell someone, "I am here," the words gain power because your feet occupy the floor beside them. Remote communication can support that promise. It struggles to replace it. This distinction matters for families. A household can live beneath one roof while each person remains inside a separate tower. One scrolls in the bedroom, another watches in the living room, a third speaks with friends through headphones. The house contains bodies without gathering them. A family needs common rituals that draw attention toward the same object. The evening meal remains one of the strongest. A shared table asks each person to enter the same pace. Conversation moves without a mute button. Silence becomes visible. Everyone witnesses how the others inhabit the day. The meal does more than distribute food. It gathers scattered lives. Remote culture pushes toward private consumption. Each person receives a personal feed. Each screen becomes a small kingdom shaped around individual taste. The table interrupts that pattern. Everyone eats what has been prepared. Everyone hears the same story. Everyone waits while someone else speaks. This teaches civilization at the scale of a room. Rapunzel also warns us about fear disguised as care. The enchantress keeps her safe. She protects Rapunzel from strangers. She removes uncertainty. She places her beyond danger. Yet safety without freedom becomes possession. Parents face this tension with children raised in a connected age. The outside world feels dangerous. Streets carry risks. Public spaces feel less predictable than a child's bedroom. A screen appears easier to supervise. Yet childhood needs encounters with physical reality. A child needs to climb, wander, misjudge distance, and learn the character of a place. The world teaches through resistance. A branch bends. A stone scrapes the knee. A friendship requires repair. Screens smooth much of this resistance away. They present polished surfaces. Games restart. Videos continue. Social contact can disappear with a tap. The child may become skilled at digital movement while remaining uncertain in ordinary space. The answer comes through gradual freedom. A child can walk to a nearby destination. He can take responsibility for a real task. He can spend time in a place where adults know his name. These experiences form confidence because reality answers back. A screen responds according to design. The world responds according to its nature. Adults need the same correction. We need tasks that resist us. Cook something that can burn. Repair something that may remain crooked. Grow something that responds to weather rather than desire. A life made entirely of digital activity can produce a dangerous feeling of weightlessness. Work disappears into files. Messages vanish into archives. Achievements appear as numbers on a dashboard. Physical tasks return consequence to the hands. A chair either holds weight or collapses. A garden either receives care or withers. Reality speaks plainly. The tower weakens when the hands recover their place in the world. This does not require abandoning remote work. It requires surrounding remote work with embodied life. The technology can remain. Its authority can shrink. A tool becomes healthier when it occupies a defined place. The laptop serves the workday. The phone serves communication. Neither governs the rhythm of the home. The goal is mastery of thresholds. Know when to open the gate. Know when to close it. Rapunzel's tragedy begins because every threshold belongs to the enchantress. She controls entry. She controls departure. She controls the bridge between isolation and contact. Modern freedom requires reclaiming that bridge. Turn off alerts that summon you without permission. Choose hours when messages can wait. Let a room remain free from screens. These actions may look minor. They restore authorship over attention. Attention shapes the life because it determines what becomes real to us. What we repeatedly notice gains emotional power. What we ignore fades from concern. A person who gives every spare moment to remote content slowly loses contact with his own surroundings. The screen becomes vivid. The room becomes dull. Reversal takes time. At first, silence may feel empty. A walk without audio may seem strangely bare. A meal without a phone may expose how restless the mind has become. Stay with that restlessness. It resembles the first step down from the tower. The ground feels unfamiliar because the feet have forgotten it. Rapunzel's story carries hope because the tower fails to define her forever. She lives inside it. She suffers through it. She still becomes more than its captive. The wilderness gives her a difficult freedom. She learns to survive. She raises her children. She keeps singing. Her voice once escaped before her body could. Later, her whole life follows. Many people living remotely already feel this longing. They sense that comfort has grown too complete. They miss the casual presence of others. They miss places that ask something of them. That longing deserves respect. It signals health. The soul still remembers the road. The task begins with one descent. Work somewhere public for an afternoon. Invite a friend into your home. Walk to a place you usually reach by car. Each act creates a rung in the ladder. The ladder grows through repetition. Remote life becomes dangerous through accumulation. One delivery feels harmless. One evening alone feels peaceful. One week inside feels productive. Months shape the person. Freedom also arrives through accumulation. One local habit becomes a relationship. One repeated walk becomes knowledge of a neighborhood. One shared meal becomes a family custom. The tower loses power as the world gains familiarity. There is a deeper lesson here. Human beings need to be known in places they cannot fully control. Online, we manage our presence. In physical life, people see what escapes our management. They see how we treat a tired waiter. They see whether we return what we borrow. They see how we act when plans change. Character becomes visible through friction. Remote life can hide much of this. A person may seem charming in messages while living as a ghost among neighbors. A full life draws the digital self and the embodied self back together. The person speaking through the screen becomes the person who arrives at the door. The promise becomes a visit. The opinion becomes a deed. The face becomes a presence. Rapunzel heals the prince through tears because love enters the body. Her sorrow touches him. His vision returns. This old image carries a truth that modern technology often forgets. Human beings heal one another through forms of attention that require presence. A hand on the shoulder communicates what a paragraph may fail to carry. A shared silence can hold more than a long message. The body speaks a language older than words. Remote tools can carry kindness across distance. They can preserve relationships through separation. They can open doors that geography once kept closed. Their proper role is to serve the human bond until presence becomes possible again. The screen should point toward the meeting. The call should prepare the visit. The message should lead toward the table. We can live with towers. We simply need doors. We need roads leading out. We need reasons to descend. The modern home can hold a remote office while remaining a home. The device can connect us to distant people while leaving room for those nearby. Convenience can support life while yielding authority to place. The work lies in choosing where the tower ends. That boundary will differ from one household to another. Its purpose remains constant. Technology belongs inside human order. Human order grows from presence. Presence begins when someone arrives with his whole self. The enchantress always promises safety through enclosure. Rapunzel discovers that love requires risk. She climbs toward freedom with no guarantee that the ladder will hold. The prince enters the forest with no certainty that he will find her. Both suffer. Their wounds become part of their reunion. A remote life often tempts us with a version of existence stripped of awkwardness. The meeting can end instantly. The purchase can arrive without conversation. The relationship can remain behind glass. Yet the parts of life that amaze us usually involve exposure. We speak and wait for an answer. We open the door. We travel towards someone. The heart grows through these crossings. Keep the gifts of remote life. Use them with discipline. Then build your ladder. Give your work a boundary. Give your home a center. Give your body a reason to enter the world. Let your neighborhood become more than scenery. Let friendship acquire weight. Let the people you love receive more than your image. Somewhere beyond the window, the road still waits. The forest may feel unfamiliar. The ground may feel uneven. The first steps may carry hesitation. Take them. The tower taught you how to see from a distance. The road will teach you how to belong. One day, the room that once contained your whole life will become a place you visit for a purpose. You will close the screen. You will cross the threshold. You will hear a voice carried through open air. You will recognize it. Perhaps someone has been calling from the trees. Perhaps the song was yours. Rapunzel leaves us with the virtue of presence. Presence means bringing the whole person into the world that waits nearby. It means allowing love to become visible through arrival. It means trading the perfect frame for a shared place. The tower can stand behind us. The road opens ahead. A grand world awaits.